My daughter-in-law got promoted. She took the whole family out to celebrate at some fancy steakhouse, but guess who didn't get invited? Hours later, I'm standing in my workshop when my phone buzzes. Dad Hal, remember to heat up the pot roast in the fridge. Don't waste it. I stared at that text for a solid minute. Then I did something that would change everything. I packed my bags and left. When they came home that night and opened the door, what they saw left them completely speechless. I'm Harold Mitchell, 67 years old, and I thought I knew what family meant. Turns out I was wrong about a lot of things. Let me back up to how this whole mess started. 3 years ago, my wife Margaret passed from cancer. 42 years together, gone just like that. We'd built everything side by side, the house, the business, raised our son Brandon. She was the one who kept the books when I started Mitchell Electric, right after I got back from Korea in 1978. Just me, a toolbox, and a dream back then. Those early years were tough. I'd leave the house at 6 a.m. with my ladder strapped to an old Ford pickup, doing residential wiring jobs for $12 an hour when I could find them. Margaret would pack my lunch, usually bologna sandwiches and coffee, in a thermos, and kiss me goodbye like I was heading off to conquer the world instead of crawling through some stranger's attic. By the time Margaret got sick, Mitchell Electric had grown into something real. 15 employees, contracts with 3 different contractors, a shop with more tools than I ever dreamed of owning. We weren't rich, but we'd done good. Real good. The kind of success you build with your hands and back, one wire at a time. But success doesn't mean much when you're sitting in a hospital room watching the person you love fade away. Margaret fought that cancer for 8 months. 8 months of chemotherapy, radiation, hope, and heartbreak. I sold the business during her last month, couldn't focus on voltage drops and circuit breakers when she needed me more than any customer ever would. The sale brought in $165,000. Not bad for a business I started with $500 and a prayer. Margaret made me promise to use some of that money to stay close to family. "Don't you go hiding in that empty house like a hermit, Harold Mitchell," she said from her hospital bed. "Brandon needs his father, and those grandchildren need their grandfather." She was right, as usual. After the funeral, that suburban house felt like a tomb. Every corner screamed her absence, the kitchen where she'd hum while making dinner, the living room where we'd watch the evening news together, the workshop where she'd bring me coffee and ask about my projects, pretending to understand electrical theory when we both knew she was just being sweet. Brandon came by 2 weeks after we buried her. He had Stephanie on his arm and that look in his eyes, the same look he'd had as a boy when he wanted something big. A bike, a trip to see his cousins, permission to stay up late. "I knew that look, Dad," he said, settling into the kitchen chair where Margaret used to sit. "Stephanie and I have been talking." Stephanie nodded, her perfectly manicured fingers wrapped around a coffee mug like she was posing for a magazine. Even then, I noticed she didn't look at me directly when she spoke. Always slightly to the left, like I was a piece of furniture she was talking around. "We're looking at houses," Brandon continued. "Something bigger for the kids. Tyler's getting older, needs his own space. Chloe wants a playroom, but the down payments these days, he didn't need to finish." I knew where this was heading, had known the minute they walked through my front door with those careful smiles and that planning something energy. "How much do you need?" I asked. $95,000 for the down payment," Stephanie said. Still not quite meeting my eyes. "We've been saving, but with Brandon's salary at the plant." Brandon managed operations at the water treatment facility. Good steady work, union benefits, but not the kind of money that builds dreams. Not like the money I'd pulled from dirt and determination over 40 years. "And we were thinking," Brandon added, leaning forward like he was getting to the good part, "maybe you'd want to come live with us, help out with the kids. They adore their grandfather. And honestly, Dad, you shouldn't be alone in this big house." Stephanie finally looked at me then. "It would be perfect, Dad Hal. You'd help us with Tyler and Chloe, maybe handle some of the maintenance issues. You know how these newer houses can be with their electrical problems. And we'd take care of you, like a real family." That phrase stuck with me, like a real family, as if what Margaret and I had built over 4 decades wasn't real enough. As if taking care of my son and his children wasn't already what family meant. But I was lonely. God, I was lonely. And the idea of being useful again, of having purpose beyond staring at empty rooms and remembering better times, appealed to me more than I wanted to admit. "Let me think about it," I told them. I thought about it for exactly 3 days. On the 4th day, I called Brandon and told him to start looking for that house. Within a month, we'd found the place in Pine Creek Estates, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, attached garage perfect for a workshop. Modern kitchen, big backyard, good schools nearby. The kind of house Margaret and I had dreamed about when we were young and broke. I signed the check for $95,000 without blinking. Figured it was an investment in my family's future, and my own future too, if I'm being honest. A chance to matter again. Biggest mistake of my life. The first year in Pine Creek Estates wasn't bad. Actually, it was pretty good. I set up my workshop in the garage, organized my tools the way I liked them, socket wrenches by size, screwdrivers grouped by head type, electrical testers in their designated spots. Everything had its place, just like Margaret always insisted. A place for everything and everything in its place. She used to say, watching me clean up after a project. Tyler was 9, then Chloe was 5. They loved having Grandpa around. Tyler would follow me into the workshop after school, asking questions about every tool I picked up. "What's that one do, Grandpa? Why do you need so many different screwdrivers? Can I help?" I taught him how to strip wire, how to use a multimeter, basic safety around electricity. The boy had good hands and better instincts. Chloe was different, more interested in the stories than the work. She'd sit on my workbench, swinging her legs, while I explained how electricity flows through a house like water through pipes. The electrons are like tiny invisible workers, I'd tell her, running through the wires to turn on your lights and make your toys work. She'd nod seriously, like she was filing away important information for later. Brandon worked long hours at the plant, but when he was home, we'd tackle projects together. Fixed the back deck that was starting to sag, installed motion sensor lights by the garage, even built Chloe that playhouse she'd been wanting. Cost me $400 in materials and about 20 hours of work. But seeing her face when we finished, pure joy. Stephanie posted pictures of it on Facebook, like she'd designed the thing herself. That should have been my first warning sign. See, Stephanie had this way of talking about the house, about our life together, that made me feel like a hired hand instead of family. When her friends came over for dinner parties, and there were a lot of dinner parties, she'd introduce me as Brandon's father who helps us with the house. Not as grandpa, not as family, as help. Dad Hal is so handy, she'd tell her book club ladies over wine and cheese, "We're so lucky to have him. He fixes everything that breaks, and he's wonderful with the children." Lucky to have me, like I was a convenience they'd stumbled onto, not the man who'd made their house possible in the first place. The money situation got complicated too. Brandon's take-home from the plant was about $3,200 a month after taxes and union dues. Sounds like good money until you break down where it goes. The mortgage on our new house was $1,850 monthly. Add in utilities, groceries, car payments, insurance, and suddenly that $3,200 doesn't stretch as far as you'd think. So I started helping out. Nothing dramatic at first, just covering the gap when money got tight. $750 here, $600 there. My military pension and Social Security added up to about $2,300 a month. After helping with the house payment, I had maybe $1,550 left for my own expenses. Seemed fair enough. I was living there, eating their food, using their utilities, except I wasn't just living there, I was maintaining the place. When the water heater started making strange noises, I didn't call a plumber, I fixed it myself. When the electrical outlet in the master bathroom stopped working, I rewired it properly. Brought it up to current code. When the garbage disposal jammed, when the deck light flickered, when the garage door opener acted up, all me, all my time, all my expertise, and all of it taken for granted. Stephanie never said thank you for the $750 I contributed every month. Never acknowledged the repairs that saved them hundreds, maybe thousands in service calls. It was like the money and labor just appeared by magic, and she was entitled to every bit of it. The worst part was how she started treating the kids when they got too close to me. If Tyler spent too much time in the workshop, she'd find reasons to call him inside. "Tyler, you have homework. Tyler, dinner's ready. Tyler, come help me with something." If Chloe fell asleep on my lap during story time, Stephanie would appear to carry her to bed, like I was some stranger who couldn't be trusted with a sleeping child. One evening, I was teaching Tyler how to read a circuit diagram when Stephanie appeared in the garage doorway. "Tyler, sweetie, why don't you come inside and play video games? You've been out here all afternoon." "But Grandpa's showing me how electricity works," Tyler protested. "Did you know that voltage is like water pressure in a pipe? That's nice, honey, but you don't want to get all dirty before dinner." After Tyler reluctantly headed inside, Stephanie lingered in the doorway. "Dad Hal, I appreciate you spending time with Tyler, But maybe we should be more careful about all the technical stuff. He's only 9. Kid's got natural talent, I said, cleaning flux off my soldering iron. Good hands asks smart questions. Reminds me of his father at that age. I just think maybe he should focus on school subjects instead of. She gestured vaguely at my workbench. All this. 40 years of skilled trade experience reduced to all this by someone who couldn't change a light bulb without calling for help. But I bit my tongue, kept the peace. That's what Margaret would have wanted, family harmony above personal pride. Besides, Brandon seemed happy with the arrangement. The kids were thriving. Stephanie was advancing in her career. Maybe I was being too sensitive about the small stuff. Looking back, I realized that's when I started disappearing. Not physically. I was still there every day, fixing things, helping out, contributing money. But somehow I became invisible as a person. I was function without recognition, utility without respect. The breaking point was still 2 years away, but the foundation was already cracking. I just didn't want to see it yet. Sometimes the most dangerous electrical problems are the ones you can't see. The slow deterioration of connections, the gradual buildup of resistance, the quiet overheating that happens behind the walls where nobody notices until something catches fire. Our family was starting to overheat. I just hadn't smelled the smoke yet. By year 2, the pattern was set. I'd become the family handyman, babysitter, and ATM rolled into one convenient package. Stephanie had her systems down to a science. Every morning she'd leave me a list on the kitchen counter. Dad Hal, please fix the squeaky hinge on Chloe's door. The kitchen faucet drips. Tyler needs picked up from soccer at 4. Never would you mind, or if you have time. Just expectations delivered like work orders. The money kept flowing out too. What started as helping with the mortgage turned into helping with everything. When their washing machine died, who do you think bought the replacement? When Tyler needed new cleats for baseball season, when Chloe wanted dance lessons, when Stephanie's car needed new tires, somehow my wallet was always the solution. I kept meticulous records, old business habit. Down payment, $95,000. Monthly mortgage help over 36 months, $27,000. New appliances, home improvements, emergency repairs, another $8,000. I was into this family arrangement for $130,000 and counting. But money wasn't the real problem. I'd give away every penny I had for family. The real problem was how I'd become invisible as a human being while remaining highly visible as a resource. Take family photos, for instance. Stephanie loved documenting everything: birthdays, holidays, random Tuesday dinners. But somehow I was always the one behind the camera. Dad Hal takes the best pictures. She'd say with that practiced smile, "You have such a steady hand." So I'd stand there, framing shots of Brandon, Stephanie, Tyler, and Chloe arranged around the Christmas tree or birthday cake, capturing their happy family moments while remaining outside the frame myself. Those photos ended up all over their social media and printed in frames around the house. Not one included me. The day I realized how deep this went was Thanksgiving of year 2. Stephanie's parents came in from Phoenix. Her sister drove up from Austin with her kids. Big production china plates, cloth napkins, centerpiece she'd spent hours arranging. I'd helped cook the turkey, mashed the potatoes, set up extra tables to seat everyone. When it came time for the traditional family photo before dinner, Stephanie started directing people into position. "Mom, you stand there, Dad, next to Mom. Sarah, bring the kids over here. Brandon, you and the kids in front." I waited for my cue, kept waiting. Finally, Tyler asked the obvious question. "Where's Grandpa gonna stand?" Stephanie looked at me like she'd forgotten I existed. "Oh, Dad Hal, would you mind taking the picture? You know how to work the camera so much better than the rest of us." 14 family members in that photo. I wasn't one of them. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, I sat in my workshop staring at a circuit diagram for a project I wasn't even working on. The numbers and symbols blurred together as I tried to understand how I'd become so dispensable in the family I'd helped create. The answer came to me around midnight, clear as voltage readings on a meter. I wasn't family to them anymore. I was infrastructure. Like the electrical system behind the walls, absolutely essential for everything to function, but invisible and taken for granted until something broke down. Things got worse the 3rd year. Stephanie's career was taking off, regional sales manager, company car business trips to Dallas and Houston. She started hosting dinner parties for clients and colleagues, elaborate affairs with catered food and hired bartenders. I'd help set up, make sure all the outlets were working for the extra lighting she wanted, clean up afterward. But during the actual parties, I'd retreat to my workshop. Dad Hal prefers his quiet time. She'd tell people if they asked where I was. Brandon was wrapped up in his own career pressures. The water treatment plant was expanding, and he'd been promoted to operations supervisor. More responsibility, longer hours, higher stress levels. When he got home, he was usually too tired for anything beyond dinner and television. Our project time together dwindled to almost nothing. The kids were getting older, busier with school and activities. Tyler was 12 now, more interested in friends and video games than workshop time with Grandpa. Chloe, now 8, had discovered dance class and art projects that kept her occupied for hours. They still loved me, I knew that, but they didn't need me the way they used to. Which left me with what, exactly? I was living in a house I'd paid for, contributing to expenses for people who barely acknowledged my existence, maintaining a lifestyle that had no real place for me beyond my usefulness. The wake-up call came on a random Tuesday in February. I was in the kitchen making lunch when the mail arrived. Mixed in with the usual bills and catalogs was an envelope addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Brandon Mitchell. The return address was from a cruise line, minus a promotional offer for a family getaway package. I opened it without thinking, curious about what kind of deal they were offering. The brochure was full of happy families on deck chairs, kids playing in pools, grandparents watching sunsets with cocktails in hand. Multi-generational vacation memories to last a lifetime, the headline promised. That's when I noticed the fine print on the booking form Stephanie had filled out. Family size: 4 children, 2. No mention of grandparents, elderly relatives, or anyone beyond the nuclear family unit. She'd already been planning vacations that didn't include me. I sat at that kitchen table for a long time, staring at pictures of families that looked nothing like mine. In every photo, the grandparents were front and center, respected elders being celebrated and included, not tolerated and hidden. That night, I started paying closer attention to the conversations happening around me, really listening instead of just existing in the background. What I heard made my stomach turn. When Dad Hal gets too old to be helpful, we'll need to start thinking about assisted living, I overheard Stephanie telling Brandon one evening when they thought I was asleep. He's not that old, Brandon protested weakly. He's 67, honey. And when he starts having health issues, when he can't maintain the house anymore, when he becomes more burden than help, we'll need options. More burden than help. That's how the woman I'd financially supported for 3 years saw my future. I went down to my workshop and sat among my tools, the same tools that had built a business, supported a family, created a life. Everything was still in its designated place, clean and ready for use. But for the first time in my life, I wondered if maybe it was time to pack them up and find somewhere else to be useful. The universe was about to make that decision for me. The breaking point came on a Thursday in March. Stephanie bounded down the stairs that morning like she'd won the lottery, practically glowing in her pearl gray business suit. She'd been waiting 3 months to hear about a promotion to regional manager, and apparently the call had come through. I got it, she announced to the breakfast table. Regional manager. Youngest person in company history. Brandon jumped up and spun her around the kitchen. Tyler and Chloe cheered from their cereal bowls. Even I felt genuinely happy for her. Hard work deserves recognition, regardless of personal feelings. We have to celebrate, Brandon declared. Somewhere special. This is huge. Oak Ridge Steakhouse, Stephanie said without hesitation. The one downtown with the city view. I've been wanting to try it forever. Tyler raised his hand like he was in school. Can I get the biggest steak they have? Tonight's about celebrating your mother? Brandon told him. Order whatever makes you happy. That's when Stephanie started planning out loud. I'll call my parents, see if they can drive down. Maybe Sarah and Mike too. Oh, and we should invite the Hendersons. Jim helped me prepare for the interview. I was refilling my coffee, waiting for her to mention me. The man who'd made this house possible, who'd supported their family financially for 3 years, who'd been there for every milestone and celebration since Margaret died. What time should I make the reservation? I asked. Stephanie looked at me like I'd just suggested bringing a homeless person to her business dinner. Oh, Dad Hal, this is more of an intimate celebration, you know. Close family and a few friends. Besides, someone needs to stay here and watch the house. Watch the house. The house I'd paid for. While they celebrated at a restaurant that charged $85 for a steak. I understand, I said, and headed down to my workshop. But I didn't understand. Not really. Not until I was standing among my tools at 7:30 that evening, checking voltage readings on a panel that didn't need checking, when my phone buzzed. Dad Hal, remember to heat up the pot roast in the fridge. Don't waste it. I read that message 3 times. Pot roast. Leftovers from their celebration dinner. My meal? Courtesy of their success story, that's when the circuit finally completed. For 3 years, I'd been troubleshooting the wrong problem. I thought we had a communication issue, a respect issue, an appreciation issue, but the real problem was simpler and more fundamental. I wasn't family to them. I was hired help who happened to be related by blood. I went upstairs and found that manila folder I'd been building for months. Every receipt, every bank transfer, every proof of payment. 3 years of contributions documented in black and white. But the most important document was at the bottom, the original deed to the house. See, when we bought this place, the lawyer had recommended putting everything in my name initially. Since you're providing the full down payment, this protects your investment, he'd explained. You can always transfer ownership later. Brandon had agreed. Made perfect sense at the time, except we'd never gotten around to that transfer. Brandon would mention it occasionally the first year, and I'd nod and say we'd handle it eventually. Then he stopped bringing it up. And honestly, watching how things developed, some part of me was glad we'd never made that change. The house was mine. Legally, completely, 100% mine. I packed my essential tools, my clothes, the photos of Margaret. Left a short note on Brandon's pillow. Son, check the deed. My lawyer will be in touch Monday. Respect isn't inherited, it's earned. Dad Gene from down the street was waiting with his pickup truck, fellow veteran who understood what it meant when family forgets what sacrifice looks like. We loaded everything in silence and drove to the apartment complex on Elm Street where I'd already put down first month's rent. Monday morning, I met with Dorothy Rivera from the Veterans Legal Aid Society. She laid out my options with military precision. Mr. Mitchell, you own that house outright. They're essentially squatters with no legal standing. You can evict them, charge back rent, or arrange formal terms. I don't want revenge, I told her. I want education. We came up with a solution that was both legally sound and personally satisfying. Property division. I kept 60% ownership, they could have 40%. But my portion would be rented to tenants of my choosing, a single mother named Marlene Foster and her 2 kids, who'd been living in their car since her ex-husband disappeared with their savings. Suddenly, Stephanie had to share her space with people who actually appreciated having a roof over their heads. The legal papers were served Tuesday. The shocked phone calls started immediately. Dad, the house is in your name? Brandon's voice was barely a whisper. All of it? That's right. Along with $130,000 in documented contributions. The adjustment period was rough for everyone except me. I moved into a nice apartment near the VFW post, set up my workshop in the garage, started sleeping peacefully for the first time in years. Meanwhile, Stephanie learned what it felt like to share kitchen space with someone who thanked her for every courtesy, to watch her children bond with kids who understood gratitude. Marlene's son Danny, 15, became Tyler's role model. Her daughter Lisa, 12, became Chloe's best friend. More importantly, both kids called every adult sir and ma'am, said please and thank you without being prompted, and treated the house like a privilege rather than an entitlement. The transformation was gradual but unmistakable. Brandon started visiting me for coffee every Thursday, working to understand how badly he'd failed as a son. Stephanie began therapy to address her control issues and insecurity. The kids started calling me Grandpa again instead of Dad Hal. 6 months later, Stephanie called and asked to meet for coffee. I want to buy your share of the house, she said. Fair market value. Payment plan, everything legal and documented. Why now, I asked. Because it's the right thing to do. Because you invested in our family, and we treated you like hired help. Because Marlene and her kids taught me what gratitude looks like, I accepted her offer. Not because I needed the money, but because she finally understood what respect meant. Today, I live independently, but not alone. Tyler stops by most weekends to learn electrical work. Chloe brings me drawings of our extended family that includes Marlene and her kids, who stayed on as official tenants. Brandon and I work on projects together again. Stephanie sends Christmas cards. Last week, Tyler asked me if I regretted leaving that night. I thought about it while watching him organize my socket wrenches by size. Kids got the Mitchell attention to detail. No, son. Sometimes you have to walk away to remind people what they're losing. I didn't lose my family that night. I taught them what family really means. That pot roast is probably still in their freezer somewhere, but I'm done heating up anyone's leftovers. These days I get invited to the table, or I don't come at all. And that's exactly how it should be. If this story hit home for you, if it reminded you that self-respect isn't selfish, Leave a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Because here's the truth every man over 50 needs to hear. Your contributions matter. Your experience has value, and taking you for granted isn't love, it's convenience. And convenient people eventually get discarded. Don't let your family forget what you bring to the table. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is show them what life looks like without you in it. Subscribe if you believe respect is earned, not inherited, because every week we share stories of people who chose dignity over peace. Because at the end of the day, you teach people how to treat you, and it's never too late to start teaching.